Hey, welcome, people. Welcome. Man, it's your boy Jesus Hawthorne. Like to welcome y'all to Talk That Talk 254. Hey, man, once again, man, we got us another banger. Man, we got us a Central Texas legend, especially for those down here in the clean area, man. We got our guy, man, Kenneth KJ Jones. How you doing, sir?
Man, I'm blessed, my brother. How are you?
Man, I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great, man. And, hey, man, it's an honor and a privilege, man, to have you on the show. You know, an individual like yourself, definitely well recognized right here in this area, man. So, you definitely was a name that I definitely wanted to reach out to and talk to, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to ask a couple of these questions for the interview.
Oh,
So,
no problem, man. We appreciate the fact you set the platform up, man.
hey, man, no problem, no problem. So, I guess the first thing we're gonna do is we want to know about you, KJ the man. Where did you actually come from? So in regarding of that, like man, who was your parents? Where were y'all from?
Okay.
And if you have any siblings, who are they?
Okay. All right. Well, I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri. Um, Born and raised. My folks grew up in St. Louis. My mom originally from Charleston, Mississippi. My dad, my biological dad, is originally from Centralia, Missouri, by Columbia, Missouri, and then my stepfather, the one the one that really laid the groundwork for me, Ricky Schaefer. He's originally from St. Louis, Missouri as well. And my mom, by the way, her name is T. Schaefer. I missed that part. But yeah, man, Midwest folks, man.
Yeah.
Um, so good times. I missed it a little bit, but Texas done made my home, made itself a home.
All right, awesome. So in regarding that, man, how important was the roles that they played in your life?
Oh man, my mom, she's been a brick. She's been a brick, the foundation. Her trials and tribulations, and watching her because I'm the oldest of three kids. So I have a baby sister who lives in Dallas, originally from St. Louis, and I have a baby brother that lives in St. Louis. My mom laid the groundwork of not making excuses. That's the biggest thing. No matter what adversity was in front of you, don't make the excuse. Just do. If you know what to do and how to navigate, just do it. And I think one of the biggest things she taught us was no matter if you found the easier road, if the easier road wasn't a good road, make the right decision. So definitely with her, that was big. With my stepfather, Pops, man, it was hard work. He is a jack of all trades. So my man was a DJ, a carpenter, a businessman, a manager at his job. He was one of those. He's one of those guys that I'm not gonna pay nobody to do it. I'm gonna do it myself.
Okay.
So when you combine those two hardworking people together, man, I'm not gonna say that I was always the easiest kid,
Yeah. Yeah.
but when I finally got it, it clicked.
Okay. Okay. So in regarding of growing up, because I'm definitely hearing that you came from a background of being hard work, so that ethic was in there, so the energy, you understood that hey, life is about getting up and making things happen. So
Right.
as a youth, a lot of times kids have a lot of energy, so they kind of move towards sports. So what sports did you play growing up? Like,
Man, we anything that was outside, from kickball to court. For those that don't know what court is,
I do not know.
that
Go ahead.
baseball with no glove.
Oh wow.
uh,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. And back alley basketball on milk crates. That's the original thing we did coming up. And then after that, I played baseball a little bit coming up, but I fell in love with basketball and football. Those were my passion. I played more basketball coming up through high school than football. My grandma wasn't a big fan of football. She would like it was too violent. But my mom and my pops were both high school and college basketball players. So I took after that road, and I just fell in love with the game of basketball. And I played in the St. Louis Public High League, and then from there got an opportunity. I was a journalism major in high school, so got an opportunity to go to the University of Missouri. I was there for a summer semester and a fall semester, and it was a life changing situation because that's when I had to find out what being a man on your own was all about. And not just from the college aspect, but also that's where my first daughter came into my life.
Okay.
So when it's now you going from worrying about Kenny only to Kenny and a baby, it changes you.
Yeah.
So I kind of transitioned from there, and my family has a history of a military background. So my uncle Junior, God rest his soul, he was in the Navy. My uncle BB retired from the Navy, and it was kind of like the Navy recruiter said, "Hey, you can come play ball here." So I kind of he sold me. So I kind of got in the Navy, man, and it grounded me. The crazy thing is, I didn't play a lick of ball when I got there. Outside of the thing we did with the rec, man, and
Yeah.
but I took up being a military police officer and kind of just fell in love with it and kind of ran from there. So,
All right.
but
All right. So,
definitely.
so you was a military police officer in the Navy?
So I did time in the Navy and the Army actually. So I started off in
Oh,
the
okay.
Navy,
Okay.
and then transitioned over to the Army. So
To the
after
Army.
5 deployments, Mama said it was time to come home.
Hey, yeah.
So,
Fine.
but it did wonders for us. Took care of our family.
Yeah.
Um, Had a rough stint, with one of my daughters where she had cancer at a very young age.
Wow.
So had it not been for the military, with being there and having grounded family, and faith, we would have been hard paying for those chemo treatments. So life has really thrown some curveballs, at me, but I've learned to find the lesson in it all. And even when times you feel like you're gonna tap out, you just got to know, especially with children involved, ain't no
Yeah.
tapping out.
Nah,
Got to
ain't
keep
no
going.
tell. Man, appreciate you sharing that, man. I never knew that. I seen you a few times. This is some great information. I know I never knew. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a lot of people who watch this never knew. Like, wow, man. So yeah, thank God that he intervened and everything turned out well for your daughter, man. And man,
Appreciate it.
that's moving. So
Oh
is
yeah,
that
she doing her thing now. She done made
yeah?
me a grandfather now. So
And congratulations on that. Congratulations on that. So was it the
yeah.
military? Is that what brought you to Central Texas? And if so, what time frame was that?
So I got here. So I had already transitioned out. I was passing through originally, heading back home to St. Louis, and
Mhm.
then I stopped and saw some family in Denton, Texas. I had my first cousins made a home in Denton, Texas, and I had some little cousins that I call my nephews playing football down there. So I kind of
Yeah,
watched some games and everything. Then I went home, and then we kind of came back, and I was like, "Hey, man, we like it here."
yeah,
And trying to figure out what I was going to do. My cousin's husband at the time, he was in the automotive industry. So he was like, Kenny, you can learn, you know how to talk to people. So you probably should come on and sell some cars. I'm like, sell cars? So, and he was just showing me the ins and outs of
yeah.
it. And what's crazy is I ended up in Frisco, Texas at
Okay.
McDavid Honda of Frisco, and walked in, and another life changing experience. I didn't know I was going to click to it the way I did, and I went
Mm,
from a car salesman to 8+ years later as a general sales manager of an Acura dealership down in Austin. So I went from Denton, learning, being around family, went to
yeah,
Frisco, learned the ropes of the business, went from Frisco to Florida to Louisville, back and forth. And then my mentor, Clyde Jacobs, took a job down in Austin at McDavid Acura of Austin. And he was like, come on down, let's work. And then
yeah.
that's how I ended up down here in Central Texas.
Man, hey, hey, that's deep right there. That's deep. That's deep. Yeah, that was some additional information that I didn't quite know. Of course, people say, hey, yeah, KJ, yeah, he used to sell cars, but being in Central Texas, I'm thinking that okay, that he was on one of the lots on Rancid or something like that. Not nah,
Nah,
man. That is no. This ain't this. That ain't this. That ain't this, man.
no.
Man, it was
No,
so
nothing
important.
against the guys that's out there doing their thing, but no, man. I've
But
worked with a lot of manufacturers.
yeah. But you hear the conversation. Oh yeah, man, that's KJ. He's so like nah. he ain't just no car salesman. Like, nah, yeah, don't
Nah.
dim the light, man. This brother was doing some things out here, bro. He was doing some.
Yeah,
Okay,
man. That's a
okay,
business that is different, man. Like I said, I went from selling cars to I went to finance school. I was a finance
yeah,
manager for a little bit, and then, like I said, I worked up to being a general sales manager. And the crazy
yeah,
thing is, I did all of that without a college degree.
wow,
So, that's one of the things I tell my youngsters all the time. The education is very important, and I would never dim the light on education being important. But
yeah.
also, if you know your worth and you know your grind, you could get to
Mhm.
certain levels prior to even, being honored with that piece of paper. So,
I tell people that all the time. That long one thing you have to stay committed to is learning. Be willing to
mhm,
learn. Be willing to grow. But there's traditional education and then there's non-traditional. And a lot of these companies they educate you from within, so they got their own education system that they want you to learn that you can elevate from if you stay
right,
willing to learn and stay willing to,
right.
to stay advanced. So man, hey man, salute to you, man. That was big. So with that being said, what got you into coaching youth sports?
Man, so it started in Denton with the Denton
Mhm,
County Broncos. Like I said, I was watching my little cousins, and then my son Junior, who is now not my baby boy no more. The boy is 6'1", 235 now. Um, but watching him play, and one of the coaches had to work or something, and they was like, "Hey man, can you help out?" So I kind of like helped out a little bit, and then my partner was coaching flag, and then my other baby boys, Flash and Peanut, was coming up, and this was when they was 6, and they were trying to get them to play, but Flash was. He used to cry a lot. He gonna hate that I told people that, but he used to cry a lot. So they was like, "Coach, come on." They said, "Dad, come talk to him, get him going." So I started kind of coaching there, and then when we transitioned here to Killeen, my kids were actually at the park hooping. My oldest daughter, Kayleen, she was at the park with my son Junior hooping, and they ran into Will Jones with the
mm,
Chiefs.
yeah,
And he saw Junior, and he was like, "Man, you play football?" And Junior, my boy's big, but he had like the Mike Tyson voice at the time. And he was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "You should come play for us." So my boy went to the practice. I used to, it's a running joke with them boys because I used to come to practice. I'm in the car business, so I got on my slacks and I
yeah,
got on my dress shoes and the shirt. And you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? I came to practice and I linked up with Polo and was just like, "Hey man, I do a little coaching too." So I was with his coaching staff on 11U. And that was a great experience. Learning, the Chief way and how they do things and the tradition behind that. And then I just transitioned from there to Ghost. That's my dog, Ghost, Lamar Hall.
yeah, yeah,
Linked in with him on 8U with him and Trey Wingfield and the boys and Big Jesse, and we kind of just took off from 8U from there, and I'm just like, man, I like this. So we
yeah,
kind of just kept running with it. And the biggest piece for me was I'm big on family. I'm big on
okay,
family, right? We know what goes on in our community. So if I could find a way to get a kid to block out what he got to go home to, or block out what's going on with him, and find a way to
okay,
fall in love with the game, and then fall in love with going to war with your brothers, that that's the biggest trait I feel like that I bring to the table when it comes to the coaching thing. I can make kids run through a wall for each other.
yeah,
So once we figure that out on that young level together, and with great leadership from Lamar Hall, we start doing wonders. And them
yeah.
boys, they did some things. So once we won that first little championship, I was really hooked in. I was really hooked
Hey,
in.
hey, man. Hey, you don't even got to say too much. Hey, those are Central Texas. Everybody grabbing their chest right now because a lot of them have been victim of what he talking about. What he feeling good about? Man, it's a plethora of coaches. They grabbing their chest and their head right now. But hey, man, it's all good and fun. So, with that being said, what was your greatest memory as a coach from that time to up to now? What was your greatest memory, and who was on that staff? Like, I guess the greatest team that you done coached, and who was all on that
now,
staff?
now you're gonna get me in trouble with that. I don't know if I'm
Hey,
on
no, no,
Chris.
come on, that talk 254. That's
Listen,
why we here.
we
What
so
was your
where I
greatest
where I
team?
learned where I learned to be a great coach, or
Yeah,
to achieve to be a great coach. 'Cause I don't call myself a great coach.
yeah,
I call myself a great mentor and inspiration to people, but I don't want to say great coach. But anyway, I learned those things from Ghost by
Okay.
how patient he is and observant with certain things. Because with my military background, I'm a firecracker, right? I'm just
Yeah.
like, let's go, let's get it, do it together, let's go. And sometimes it was a little bit too too forward, not enough patience, and he would be like, "Hey, I like it, but let's just wait for a second." Right? And then, we kind of went from that. And then I started learning from Trey,
Okay.
on the defensive side of things and how he sees things. So my
Hmm.
growth and learning came with that coaching style, because
Mm.
we had kids that they were used to being stars. They were used to
Yeah.
being, how you say you got a team of kids and everybody running back,
Yeah.
everybody to this. You had
Yeah.
kids that was used to doing things, and we found a way to get them to buy into what they do great, not what they wanted to do. And once
Okay.
that formula was figured out, it was taking heads off then. So that's where the growth came. When it
Okay.
came to best team and the team that has like my heart, most of
Yeah.
them are on that team anyway. But them that CWA, that Chiefs with attitude, it was a problem.
Okay. It
It
was
was a problem for many years. And a lot of those boys still rock with me today, through
awesome.
707, and basketball and things of that nature. But they were a problem, because
Yeah.
they had attitudes. You couldn't
Yeah.
tell them nothing, and if you mess with one, it's like messing with all of them.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest energy that came from that was their parents, because you
Mm.
bite one of them, here come the rest
Yeah.
of them too. So if you ever watch CWA parents argue on social media, you know what
Yeah.
time it
Yeah.
is, because they coming. So that
Absolutely,
was, I would
man.
say, the best
Absolutely.
team. It would have to be that CWA.
The
That's the
CWA.
sequence years for them. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. So exactly what age group are they now? Because I think that was
So
like a couple of years
So
ago.
right now they're in the eighth grade. So those
Then eighth
boys are
grade.
eighth graders now, getting ready
Okay.
to transition into high school, and that's the greatest journey right there, man. So when you look back
Yeah.
and you see kids from when they were 7 and 8 years old, and you went from looking down on them coaching to now you
Yeah.
looking up at some of them, and they got
Yeah.
mustaches and beards, and talking about girls and all of that.
Mhm. Yeah.
You proud because you feel like they're getting it because they not out here in the streets getting in trouble and things of that nature. And the other thing is you're
Yeah.
just proud to be on the journey.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome. So when did it hit you? Like, you know what? This ain't something that I just do. This is who I am. And it actually became your way of life. And then the part two of
When
that question is, how did you get your wife to buy in and for her to be fully committed too?
so all the kids had came from different walks of life, right? And
Okay.
not to get into too many details, it was some that we spent more time with than others. And when
Okay.
they come back and say thank you, when they tell you, hey, I've never done this before, like case in point, when we took CWA to Florida for the first time, a lot of I would say about 80, no, 70% of those kids had never been to Florida. 30% of those kids had never been on an airplane before. So
Mm.
when we decided that we wanted to be bigger than just winning in AAU, we decided to go and play against competition in other places. So,
Yeah.
when we go to the airport with CWA gear on and I'm watching the kids excited, they get on planes with matching jumpsuits and all that good stuff, it changes because we're changing their life. So that was the biggest moment for me, was just taking them out of town, being in the vacation house, watching them do their homework and be responsible. Because we tell them to move like college students, be responsible like college students when you're away from your parents. And that's when I've told myself I'm locked into this, and I'm not locked into this for trophies. I'm locked into this because my goal is to walk you into your college dorm room. That's the real goal. And then as far as my wife, my parole officer, oh boy, listen,
You got one of them
it,
too, huh? Yeah.
man, listen, she's strong. She's strong
Yeah.
because I'm not gonna stunt and say that it was all flowers and candies. In youth
Yeah.
sports, you have to be built for this, through the
Yeah.
ups and downs. You got to be built for it. And
Yeah.
my wife was my rock and my shield. At times where the heat is fuming off me, she was the shield to cool me down. When it was coming back the other way, she was the shield. Was like, not too much. Hold on,
Yeah.
I got him. So, I couldn't do this without her because everywhere I went, she was right there supporting it. If it didn't go the way I thought it should go, she the one going, it's okay. Let's find a new way to navigate around it. So I definitely wouldn't have been able to do any of this without her giving the green light and also being supportive. Because she didn't just sit down; she was cooking dinners. We had kids. At one point, we had 25 kids sleeping in our living room, and we feeding them, and like she up cooking and doing. We did that for years. You know what I'm saying? So
Wow,
definitely shout out to my wife, Say Jones, because she has been excellent.
man, awesome, man. That's a great story to tell, man. Great story to hear. Okay, so to transition now,
Hmm.
we don't spoke about the KJ in regarding of the Chiefs. Then this thing came about called Triple Threat Sports.
Mm.
How did that come about, and who was all involved in the creation of it?
So we had the obviously tackle football, and in Killeen there are a lot of teams. Even today there are a lot of teams, right? So we didn't really
Mhm.
want to touch tackle football after the season was over. Kids started getting into 7-on-7, and they were playing basketball. Um, there were a lot of basketball teams in the area as well, but for the level of basketball some of the kids wanted to play, you can only go to certain teams and certain names.
Yeah.
So we had started off, myself, and David Burke. I was coaching with David Burke, and he was putting me on to the Drive Nation scene. And the Drive Nation scene was good. We understood exactly what they're building, what they stand for, and what they still stand for today. However, the kids that we had at the time and the families that we had at the time, they couldn't maneuver financially. Um,
Mm.
and in this area with what they were doing, which isn't a bad thing on the program because the program is what it is.
Yeah.
But they couldn't swing it, so we were just like, well, what can we do? Do we know the ins and outs? So we sat down, and we decided to make a basketball organization. But then we knew our kids, like the CWA kids, they still wanted to play football, so we wanted to tap into 7-on-7. Um,
Okay.
so the basketball part was one part, 7-on-7 was another. And then we linked in with my sister, love her to death, Dr. Key to Key. If you don't know Key to Key, Lord have mercy. Great woman, her and her husband Chris, they run the CTX Flames track club. So, and all
Okay.
of our kids ran track with CTX Flames. So that's where the triple threat part comes in. So you have basketball, football,
Basketball,
and then the
seven,
partnership with
seven.
them with track.
Awesome.
And
Awesome.
we kind of ran from there.
Hey, man, that's awesome. So in regarding of a mission statement, do the Triple Threat Sports, do y'all have your particular mission statement that y'all kind of operate around?
Oh yeah, the premise of the mission statement is simple. And before I get to that, I also got to shout out my little brother, Will Jones. 7-on-7 wouldn't be right now. Our 7-on-7 program is on a national stage, and it started from the ground. And my brother Will Jones took that thing. He believed in it, and he ran with it. And he has been a great leader on that platform with getting kids to where they want to be with 7-on-7. So definitely salute to him, and also Ellison High School for giving us our first opportunity with the high school level when it came to 7-on-7. But as far as our mission statement, we want to make it simple. They either going to be college ready, they're going to be trade school motivated, or they're going to be military ready. That is the biggest thing for us. We know that athletics is not going to work out for everybody, right? But while you're playing it, you're going to give it your all. And we're going to find a way to get you through basketball or football where you want to be. So from a young age of from 8U all the way through our 18U 7-on-7 program, or from fifth grade to our class of 2028 who are now freshmen, we are monitoring grades. We are making sure that they're doing community service. We're making sure that they're doing mental health workshops. So by the time they get to their senior year or the end of their junior year, any school can come to them and they're the first choice, not the last resort to a school. That's the mindset. And if they decide that they don't want to go to college, we link in with trade schools. If you want to be an electrician, you want to do refrigeration, we link in with those people to say, hey, college not for everybody. Let's go in this route. And if you got the kid that's like, Coach, I don't know what I want to do. I just got to get out of clean. Time to see Uncle Sam.
Already,
Time to see.
already,
So
man. Hey,
that's the premise of us with TTS.
so how long has Triple Threat Sports been around? Like when was y'all established?
So TTS started. This is 25. We started in 2021, and then we grew from there. So currently, right now, Triple Threat Sports in itself, it has grown and has branches. So not only do we have Triple Threat with Colleen, we partner with different high schools. So you have TTS Red, which is TTS Harker Heights. We have a TTS team in Austin with the LBJ community. We have TTS in Temple. We have a basketball program, TTS North Carolina. And then right now we're working on getting our TTS Seattle program up and running. So then we,
Man,
with our 707 program, we linked in with Coach Terrell Smith and Terrell White, my dog, and Coach Smitty out of Cove and Coach Epps out of Cove. And they was like, hey, man, on the younger levels, let's bring this thing together. So we merged with the CTX Chargers out of Cove with our younger levels. So now we have this mega conglomerate over here with the CTX Superchargers. And then on the basketball side, we linked in with my baby sister Jamie and my little brother Mario, and we merged in with Heat Nation on basketball. So that's where you see the TTS Heat side. So when you put all of those things together, we have a total of about 15 teams
wow,
operating throughout
wow.
this area, North Carolina, and then like once Seattle gets up and running this summer for 707, it's really gonna be something.
All right, awesome, man. We talking about hundreds and hundreds of kids, if not thousands.
Oh
Hey,
yeah,
that's
oh
big.
yeah.
So, so since uh triple threat sports being formed, uh, have y'all had any that transition into college?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So our first, so the pilot program of the 707 program, we got kids. So right now, between the last 3 years, the number is up to 15. So we got about 15 kids operating from D3 to D1 colleges
Oh,
right now, doing their thing. Because like I said, that's the goal. We got to get them in the dorm
okay.
rooms. And we got other kids that's transitioned into trade schools, and we got two kids that went to the military. So
Awesome. So y'all still maintain relationships with them?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Social media,
Yeah,
text messages. We gotta harass her, and then we go to the signing days because that's the other thing. We push
yeah,
these kids to these signing days, and we show up to the signing days. And then
yeah.
the kids who graduated already, they come back. And then we kind of kick it and kind of go from there, man. But we get to stay in touch with everybody. Some of them
Yeah.
guys are doing real big things, and they schedule busy, so we don't
Gotcha.
get everybody,
Gotcha.
but for the
Gotcha.
most part, we try.
Hey man, so we about to transition the conversation to the uniform that you currently wearing right now.
Okay,
When did
okay.
you get first involved with FBU? And exactly
Man,
what is FBU according to your definition? What is
okay.
FBU?
So football university. So I'm the Austin director. So our Austin region consists of 77 different school districts in 13 counties. So I originally, to be real transparent with you, I didn't know enough about FBU to be a fan. A couple coaches talked to my oldest son about doing it, and he started it, but then kind of had some things going on where he didn't finish it. So, and just like anything, everybody talk about money grabs, and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
ignorance didn't allow me to do it because I didn't know enough. And then my
Yeah.
brother Pierre White and Greg Marcus was like, "You tripping? Let me sit down and educate you." So they start
Yeah.
telling me about the program and how it works and what it does, and I said, "I'm linked up." The gist of FBU is simple. They have camps throughout the year, from a 10U level all the way up through high school, and they bounce from every major city you can think of, putting on different camps to highlight either the undiscovered talent or the best talent in the area. So on a 10U level, your goal is to try to make what's called Top Gun. Top Gun is where you excelled at that city's camp, and then you transition to Naples, Florida in June, and you go through a combine type setting with one-on-one drills, and you battle against the best kids in your age group. And like I said, that starts from a 10U level all the way up to seniors in high school. Um, from there, when you're in middle school, your goal again is Top Gun. But not only is it Top Gun, FBU is partnered with Under Armour. You have a lot of kids that want to get into that eighth grade Under Armour All American game. So in that
Yeah.
instance, now you're battling not only to go Top Gun, but you want to get on that 8th grade Under Armour national platform. From there, from middle school, you transition to high school. And then, like for instance, our class of 2028 kids is who the kids myself and Mike Barr, my big bro, my mentor out of Austin. You know him with the Austin Steelers and now the Junior Jags. You know, we were with the class of 2028 for FBU. We coached that tackle program, which I'll get into that in a sec. But we coached them for 3 years, and their transition after 8th grade is to try to make what's called the FBU Freshman All American game. So that's when they
Yeah.
take the best freshmen all over the nation, and you come down in December and you battle in this big game, right?
Yeah.
And we've been blessed to have several kids out of the Central Texas area in that game before I took over as director. My big bro Carlos Chester was doing a great job in this area with getting kids taken care of and getting them in that program. And then when I took over this year, you know, our goal was to continue the transition. I mean, continue the tradition. So we had great kids like Tano Wooten, Reagan
Yep.
Smith, those kids that went there, and Ryder. They went and they displayed their talents and they were selected. You know, you leave it up to me, I wanted to put all my 2028 diaper dandies in there, but
Yeah.
those were the kids that were selected. So from the freshman All-American game, your next transition is to make the Navy National Combine. So that's when they take the best 500 to 600 kids in the nation, and you come in and you run a combine down in San Antonio. And they're doing everything from the shuttle run to 40s, 1v1s. And now, you know, you're taking that data and it's going out to the different colleges for people to get you on their radar.
Mm.
Transition from that, the big money winner is everybody is now trying to get into the Navy All-American Bowl game. So FBU, in a sense, when it comes as an individual, while a parent will want to be involved in it, it walks you from a young age at elementary, 10U, all the way through high school of development and give you an opportunity to play football at somebody's college. And there is college football for everybody. So if a kid say they want to play college football, there's no way in my mind for you not to get there because there's college football every level. So from JUCO
Yeah.
to D1, everybody needs somebody.
Yeah.
And then the last piece that they have is the major tournament. So the football national tournament, regionals happen in December. So basically, our region consists of Austin. There are two Dallas regions, San Antonio and Houston. So we battle each other to see who's going to represent the state of Texas in Naples in December. And you know, people thought Central Texas, some guys gonna get on me in Houston and Dallas, but they thought we were some pushovers these last 5 years. So,
Yeah.
but we've done a good job, and we've knocked them off 2 3 times to punch our ticket to Naples when they say
Yeah.
CTX boys can't play no football.
Yeah.
So
Hey, most
that's the
definitely.
biggest piece for FBU.
Hey, man, that's absolutely awesome. So I guess the next question is that how did you get selected to be the original representative for FBU?
So I was reached out to about to from a couple people that was in the national office. We were trying to make sure that our region stays relevant as you know Carlos transitioned on to some bigger, better things. We wanted to keep the party going. We wanted to keep all of these amenities that were available through the FBU portal for these kids. We wanted to keep it going. So you know they reached out to a couple people, and then Cleo called me.
Mm.
My man Cleo, love Cleo
Yeah.
to death. Cleo say, "Man, what you doing, KJ? You better take that job." And you know, and when Cleo tell me things, you know, he's
Yeah.
thought it through before he called to say anything. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Cleo, you know what's on my plate. You know what I got going on with TS and everything else. He said, but it's all the same. So then I
Mm.
called my mentor, Mike Barr, and I said, "What you think?" He said, "Why you ain't did it yet?" So when
Oh,
you
wow.
take somebody that I highly respect in Cleo, and I take my mentor Mike Barr, then I call my big sister, which is the last piece of the triangle with Key to Key,
Yeah.
and like, what you thinking? She runs down the pros, the cons, and the middle. And
Yeah.
if it's more pros than cons, she say
Got to
do it.
roll with it. Yeah.
I told them that I'll do it. You know, when they reached out to me after talking to those three, and then that's where we are today.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. So I guess my next question would be, what is the process for a child to get selected in FBU? Because I do believe this it's a selection process. You don't just show up with your helmet and pass and you on the team. So
That's
what is that
correct.
process? What is that
So
process like?
so tryouts for the Austin region typically they're not the same month every year, but they're close to each other. So we start off around that June time frame. We started off a little earlier than that before, but you come you try out just like with the All Star game that happens. You come, you try out, and you're trying out against the best kids in the region. So any kid that comes from College, as far as College Station, as far north as Hillsboro, as south as Buda, and then anything you can think of to the west. You come in, you competing for those kids for the roster spots or 40-man roster. And you have 10U, sixth grade, seventh grade, and eighth grade. So the tackle tournament itself is grade based, except for the 10U level. And you come and you try out. And then from there, it's just a matter of once you make the team, that don't mean you on the field. At that point, now you have to practice in a reduced time frame because they don't practice every week because kids are from
Yeah,
all over the place. So you have to
yeah.
show out within a reduced time frame to show why you deserve to be the 11 out there.
Okay, okay. Hey man, that's awesome. That's awesome. So we're gonna transition to we'll get lead the kids, but we're gonna start talking about something a little different because we all know youth sports they're played by kids, but they're driven
Right,
by
right.
adults. They're driven by
Yeah.
adults. So with that being said, because you got to deal with adults, man, what type of parents would you looking for from from the Chiefs to Triple Threat Sports to down at the FBU? So if you had to lay out a description, you know what, these are the type of parents that we're looking for. These are the type of people that we can't wait to work with because you do have to work with the adults
Right.
as their kids or as you coaching up their kids.
The first thing is understanding what it is that you want for your kid and what your kid wants from that sport and where do you meet in the middle. Making sure that, for instance, if a kid, TTS has different levels. We got competitive and non-competitive. If you want to just take pictures of your kids in a uniform and just have them on a team, there's football for that. There's basketball for that, right? So understanding what
Yeah,
level your kid is on and where he wants to be, that's the ideal parent. If your kid is competitive, he up every day with a ball in his hand, he's developing, he has a trainer, and he wants to play competitive, then understand the arena that you want your kid to be in. Where it kind of gets a little fuzzy is when the two worlds blend and you have kids that aren't quite ready for the competitive side, but they want to be there, right?
yeah,
And they want to instantly be there, not go through the pathways of developing and be there. And then you have the parents that's supporting that message without the work. So
mm,
when it comes to me for parents, I want a parent that understands where they want to go, and then you're willing to work together to get them there because there isn't just one way to make a kid successful.
right,
So fluid of the mind. That's the biggest thing. If something don't go one way and we have to maneuver a different way to get them there, be fluid in your thought process for us to be able to get there. When it's, hey, this is what we did at the other place, and hey, his other coach did this and that, and you got not really working well with each other, it's
yeah,
not saying that's a bad parent. Your pairing isn't ideal. So that's
right,
when you gotta, be transparent and say, I think this might not be for you, or we may not be for each other.
yeah,
So I don't necessarily have a perfect parent per se. It's just more of your mindset, and then understanding that you are not afraid to tell your son or daughter that ain't it right now. Let's work towards it, and we do it
gotcha,
together.
gotcha. Now I got one question that I want to put out there because it was a gentleman that I had interviewed before. I don't know if you was able to see the interview yet, but it's a guy by the name of Dwight Johnson. He's the older brother to Derek Johnson, who played for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now both of
Yeah,
these
yeah.
gentlemen, yeah, they both played NFL football. One thing that he told me, because he born and raised in Waco, Texas, and he moved to Georgia, so he got a few businesses out there in Atlanta, Georgia area. But he said he didn't have his child playing middle school football due to the low competition. Instead, uh, uh, he ended up linking up with a travel team where they just
Mhm.
specifically played middle school ball, and they went out and competed against national bred teams. He said because one thing that he focused on was like his class. I believe his son was like the uh, class of 2022 or 23. It might have been one of those two, and he wanted his son to understand. He said because and this actually came from the mother. They got an interview, and I'm gonna bring it to you. I'm
All
gonna
right.
inbox it to you. Uh, the mother, I mean the wife, the child mother. She said like no. When it's time to go and get a scholarship, you're
Mhm.
competing against the best kids in the nation. So she wanted her child to be in the atmosphere of understanding what the competition is and you striving to be the best, not just locally, not just state, but in the nation. So when it's time for you to your 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, and she wanted those individuals to already be looking at her child and going toward her child instead of her having to have to send tape to people. She wants the people already coming towards her. Now, one thing I've noticed in Central Texas is we always say there's an issue with the middle school ball.
Mhm.
So who else would be better than to bring this up? Like, hey, KJ, have y'all ever thought about with the FBU and a structure that's already there, creating a potential middle school travel ball to represent Central Texas? Because my because the white he's a part of FBU also, but he was doing
Mhm.
the FBU from Georgia, and he was like, "Yeah, he's an FBU, big thing, this, and that," and he really was hyping it up, and he definitely plugged it in the thing. But something that caught my attention that I noticed that ain't here, that's there in Georgia, was a middle school travel team.
So we
It,
we do actually. So
okay,
one of the things, so myself, Marcus Wooden, Topher, Yusuf Pye, Mike Barr, um, Trey Wingfield. I missed it. Jesse Lawson. I just want to make sure I get all these coaches knocked out. Marty. We
hmm
started what's called, so after that first year of FBU, that's exactly what the wavelength was. There was two things happening. One, they said Central Texas coaches can't coach together, right? So we
I
wanted
heard
to
that.
crack that narrative. Um, and then the second thing was we couldn't compete outside of our area. So that class
Mm,
of 2028 boys that I was telling you about earlier, who are now
yeah.
tearing it up as freshmen in high school, we started what's called the elite program. So we started 28 elite. So 28 elite is a middle school travel football program. So
Okay.
we made our own schedule. We jumped into tournaments where the elite players was, and we competed against those kids. As the 28 kids transitioned to high school, we then brought 29 elite. 29 elite came, and those are the kids that are now in eighth grade now, transitioned into high school. And they did the same thing where we went and we had to find out if we can match the physicality. Because what did everybody say in CTX? You got to go play in Dallas. You got to go play in Houston
Yeah.
to show if you really got it. Right. So we
Yeah.
put that program, the elite program, together for that very reason.
Yeah.
Now, to your question earlier about middle school ball, I believe both is important because one of the things that tends to happen in travel football is if a coach really isn't studying to be an actual a coach through clinics, through
Mm,
understanding the mindset of a team, leadership, all the different elements that come in instead of just knowing X's and O's, you can hurt a kid, right? And their
mm,
development. So in the middle school side of things, I do believe, especially in this area, we need to revamp that system. There's not enough coaching, position coaches, right? Coming up
yeah.
in football, it's hard to have two or three people teaching all of the positions of football and think your team is going to be successful. And then they
Absolutely.
end up handicapped when they make it to high school if they weren't like supreme athletes because they were never taught for 3 years. That's why we
Yeah.
developed the elite program in the first place. That's why we do FBU because we teach the specifics of each position. Middle school ball is a plus because you have to learn to play with people you just met. You
Mm,
have to learn how to gel with them and bond with them and become a team to go out and be successful. And you have to learn how to play structured football. Even if the competition is what people may think is weak or on a weaker
mm,
side, they're still structured. there's still rules that you have to follow that isn't necessarily in travel ball. So you need both, in my opinion.
So are you saying that you think it's be physically okay on a child to play middle school and travel ball and travel football at the
So
same
the way
time?
we good question. So the way we did it was, one, we only played one tournament or one game a month. So it
Okay.
wasn't a league type situation where they were just beating their bodies up all the time. So it was only
Yeah.
one game a month. And typically those games we set up were on Sundays, right?
Okay.
And then the middle school ball was on, like, in this area, like on Tuesdays. The other
Okay.
thing was, when we practiced, we didn't have hitting at our practices. Not all the
Okay.
time. There were like certain days, or we'll do it like maybe 2 times a month and things of that nature, because they're already getting body hardening through their middle school football side. So we also
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that we took care of them on that aspect. And then we pushed things like nutrition, self care, rejuvenating your body. We were walking them through that process. So it wasn't just put a helmet and some shoulder pads on, let's go play
Yeah.
against Louisiana. There's a
Yeah.
process that we follow with that. And any kid not following that process couldn't play with us.
Awesome. Awesome, man. Well, man, KJ, bro, hey, bro, you put it down, man. You answered a whole lot of questions. You gave us some background that a lot of us had absolutely no knowledge of because and one thing about me, I like to talk to the man himself. I don't want to hear from this. Like, I'm going straight to the horse's mouth, man. You answered a lot of great questions. Broke down F.B.U. You broke down triple threat. And so if somebody's trying to reach out to you, they was like, you know what, man, this brother did a great interview. What social media platforms can they find you on?
So the most active, I'm very active on Facebook, because that's where a lot of the families are. And then when it
Yeah,
comes to the recruiting side, I'm active on Twitter. So on the Facebook side, you can find me at Kenneth KJ Jones. And on Twitter, I have two platforms. So you have K Jones F.B.U. And then you also can reach me at the number 3 Threat Sports TX on Twitter. One other piece that I wanted to share with you, brother, and I definitely appreciate the time with this, is if you're a coach, especially that has a lot going, like family, job, things of that nature, you have to learn how to prioritize things. And also you have to learn from your mistakes, right? So one of the things a lot of people who aren't really close connected to me, the ones who know me tease me about it all the time, but the ones ain't connected have no idea. I have 10 children, 10
wow,
children. My oldest is 26, right? So when
okay,
I'm explaining to people, I have my oldest that lives in Seattle. My daughter graduated from Prairie View. My third daughter, who that made me a grandpa, she's at
yeah,
Texas Southern. My
oh,
son, who is now playing for Houston Christian out of Houston, and then I have my middle school boys, and then my younger daughters. Right, that's a lot to
that's what,
juggle. Right, it's a lot. Right, but if you
yeah,
believe in something,
yeah,
you got to make sure that you put what's important first, but then also maintaining the goal of where you want to see these kids, be. So when somebody try to tell me this is hard or I can't do this, walk in my
yeah,
shoes. Walk into different mindsets that I have to deal with every day, and then you add in, the coaches, you add in the
yeah,
parents, you add
the
in the
parents,
kids. If
yeah,
you're going to do this, make sure this is something that you really want to do, not
awesome,
just for the trophies, not just for the
yeah,
rings. We did all
yeah,
that. What's
yeah,
the real goal? And if you don't have a real goal, don't do this.
wow. Hey, man, hey, that's some powerful final remarks right there, man. So you heard from your guy right now, man, Kenneth KJ Jones, man. Man, we welcome you once again, man, to come to Talk That Talk 254.
Appreciate you.
You definitely did that, man. And man, you dropped some great nuggets, man, that everybody definitely need to listen to. And man, once again, thank you for having me coming on the show. And until the next time, man, you stay blessed, bro.
My dog, appreciate you, bro.